Ready, guys. It is 3:30 this Wednesday, January 29th, and it's time to wrap this app. And as you can tell, this has been a crazy day, Fed day. So we had something leaked here early on here. There was an interesting reaction before that news came out. Here's your announcement. They kept the rate steady. Powell came out, and Powell didn't make any news. He has kind of kept the steady Eddie kind of dynamic, and the market was just very volatile, but not really directional. And at this point, it looks like they're at least not selling off. It looks like they have a little bit of strength coming up here. We'll see if they can make something out of it. But feels very much like we're going to be in a range bound market now. Looking at how it is now after the going into the afternoon, we may see a little squeeze to the upside. Looks like. I mean, depends on if this little pop here can get some traction. They had to clear this area, the 80, the 90s, 85 to 90s. If they can do that, we'll may have a little move to the upside going. But if they can't, we're probably going to stay in the range, maybe trade back a little bit, but probably stay in the range at that point. So also after the close, we have earnings. Microsoft, Meta, and Tesla are reporting earnings, and that's going to be definitely a big impact on the Nasdaq. So watch the Nasdaq after the close. It's going to be probably a crazy reaction too. So I'm going to start off range bound. If they at this point we are still up against the 6100, so as long as they stay below it, I'm going to stay range bound. They had to get up above that 85 level before I start thinking about maybe a retest to that high, but it could be in the works. So if anything, I would have a slight bias to the upside to see if they can retest these areas. But looking at today's trading, pretty range bound. And I would start off range bound again to see how this market digests the news overnight and going into tomorrow. So tomorrow morning we get both the Fed news digested as well as the earnings to deal with. So that could be a pretty crazy morning as well. Now the news for Thursday, we have a GDP read at 8:30, jobless claims. So that's going to be the first GDP read of the fourth quarter on top of everything else. So that's going to be a pretty interesting morning tomorrow. So GDP and jobless claims at 8:30, pending home sales at 10, nat gas at 10:30, and that's about it. So 8:30 and 10, we have news primarily at 8:30. So it's going to be a heck of a morning tomorrow. Looking at the Nasdaq and the bonds, I haven't traded anything on the ES. It's been too volatile, too sloppy for me to want to engage it. On the bond side, we had a reaction to the downside at the news, and they retraced right back up again. So pretty much where we left it. So I would start off range bound again around 114. We have a lower edge here at the 1324 still to work with. We have an upper edge at the 114.16 to 18. So that's going to trade in a range in that area. So look for short setups against the 1408s, 14, 16, 17. Look to buy against the 114s and the 113, 24s for rotations back up. Nasdaq also, that has been even worse. Look at that crazy one. I mean, I was thinking of doing something here, but this is just the suicide trading. This is just not going anywhere. But these bars are huge, super volatile. Even if you get on, I was thinking about getting short against this upper area, but you can see you get short up here and you go to break even, you get shaken out. That's exactly what will be happening here all the time. So it's no point of time. It's too volatile. No point of trying to trade that, unless you want to sit here with a bigger stop and not move it and wait for some sort of development. But it is pretty darn volatile. So I opted not to do anything. I had a couple of trades earlier on, up $11 on the Nasdaq, and that's about it for today. So today I'm not trading on the Nasdaq or the ES for after that announcement. No directional moves, just a very sloppy action back and forth. And when it is like that, you can't just be aggressive. You can try to be aggressive at the edges. Chances are just keep getting shaken out. Even if you have got to break even at a very late stage, they rotate right back up again, and it's just too volatile. Anyway, so finally, oil and gold. So I would start range bound on the Nasdaq too. They're trading right at that 21,500 level. So start off range bound on the Nasdaq. Look to sell strength. This 560s or 570s and the 600s. Look to buy weakness. At this point, the edge going to be a little bit lower here at the 450s and maybe down to the let me see. Let me do this. And then at the 450s here, and then down at the 370s for rotations back up again. The range bound Nasdaq. And then finally, oil and gold. Uh, Gold, it's going to roll that to the next expiration. You can see how it's thinning out. So I haven't traded gold today at all. Rolling it to the J25 expiration from tomorrow's trading. And then gold and then oil, sorry, oil to the downside. It sloppy but steady move, grinding lower. Now down here testing the 7250s. Here's your retest. If to take out the 7250s in overnight, I think we have a better shot of seeing a little bit more traction to the downside. But it's been a grind to get down here to test that area. Retest, I would not be surprised if you get a little bump in the overnight based on that retest. But I'm going to be looking for them for that third level, for third time to test the 7250s for expecting them to break through to the downside. So that's oil. Trade that from the short side of the market. Look to sell against the 73s and the 7360s for rotations back down. All right, back to the ES. And all right, they're backing off a little bit. They ran it up here to resistance. They're backing off again. So yes, I thought range bound trading, probably the ticket. And then watch the earnings after they close. That's going to be so the earnings, GDP tomorrow, and jobless claims. That's going to be fun. A lot of volatility. So far, that's 2 trades on the Nasdaq, and that's about it. All right, guys. I'll see you bright and early in the morning. You guys have a good evening. Later.